For a lot of us, Martin Luther King Jr. Day just feels like a welcome break in the middle of a long January. But what if I told you that behind that day off, there's this incredible story of struggle, of political debate, and a call to action that's about so much more than just a long weekend?
So let's get right to it. Is MLK Day just another day off the calendar, or is there something deeper going on here? That's really the big question we're going to dig into today. And as you're about to see, the story behind this holiday is anything but simple.
We're going to look at this whole thing in a few different ways. We'll explore it as a day that's meant for community service, we'll see how it's become a surprising flashpoint in political debates, and we'll uncover the story of how it was a hard-won holiday that took a determined 15-year battle just to exist. Let's start with the history, because you got to understand this holiday wasn't just granted, it was won. It was the result of a long and, honestly, a surprisingly tough fight to carve out a space for Dr. King in our national memory. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 15 years. From the moment the idea was first proposed, the thought of a national holiday honoring Dr. King met some really intense resistance. It took an incredible amount of perseverance to push it across the finish line. And this timeline, wow, it really lays out just how long and bumpy that road was. A bill was put forward by Representative John Conyers just 4 days after Dr. King was assassinated in 1968. But it took 11 years, just to get a vote in the House, and then it failed by just 5 votes. It wasn't until 1983, after a huge public outcry, fueled in a big way by Stevie Wonder's hit song Happy Birthday, that the bill finally passed. And even then, it took until the year 2000 for all 50 states to be on board. And when it finally got to the Senate floor in '83, things got heated, and I mean really heated. One senator, Jesse Helms, launched this vicious attack on Dr. King's character, passing around these FBI files. The tension just boiled over until another senator, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, literally grabs the documents, throws them on the floor, and starts stomping on them, calling them a packet of filth. It was just this raw, incredible moment that showed how deeply divided people were. Okay, so that was the past, but that fight, it hasn't really gone away. It's just changed form. Even today, how this holiday is observed can show some pretty stark political differences. Right, so fast forward to today, and you'll see that what this holiday means is still up for grabs. It's not this one single settled thing. It's constantly being defined and redefined, and sometimes those definitions come from very different places politically. And you can really see this play out in the political arena. The holiday becomes this backdrop for sending a message. So for instance, the governor of California's office put out this comparison. Now we're just showing you what they published. They framed their decision to offer free entry to state parks on MLK Day as a direct contrast to the Trump administration's earlier policy of getting rid of free entry at national parks on that day. It's a textbook example of using the holiday to make a political statement.
And then you get this quote from the governor himself, and it really just lays it all out there, There's no hiding the political angle here. When he accuses the previous administration of trying to erase his legacy, he's framing California's policy not just as a choice for his state, but as a direct answer to a national political opponent. It's a perfect snapshot of how the holiday gets used in our modern political conversation.
All right, so we've looked at the big picture, the national fight, the state-level politics, but now let's zoom way in, down to the local level, and see how one community is taking all these big ideas and turning them into direct action.
Let's take a look at what one city, Antioch, California, is doing, because this is where you see these huge ideas actually turn into something real. The city council there isn't just putting out a nice statement. They're building a whole framework for how their residents can actually live out the meaning of the day. And check this out. This is a line from their official proclamation for the day. It's really powerful stuff. They're basically saying, look, you don't need a title, you don't need to be an elected official to be a leader. All it takes is the will to do what's right. That's a message that empowers every single person in that town. And that idea leads directly to this core philosophy they've adopted. They've officially embraced the motto, a day on, not a day off. And that simple phrase changes everything. It's not just a suggestion. For them, it's the guiding principle for the entire holiday. Okay, so what does that even mean, a day on? It sounds good, but what does it actually look like in the real world? Well, it means getting your hands dirty. It means showing up and actively participating in your community. It's about turning remembrance into something you can actually see and touch. Well, this number right here makes it super real. We're not talking about some vague concept. We're talking about needing 50 actual human beings to come out and help fix up the local skate park. That's a specific, concrete goal that's going to make a visible difference in their town. And that's just the beginning. The skate park is just one part of this whole citywide effort. They've also organized projects to engage with senior citizens, to clean up graffiti, to restore landscaping and public benches, and even a poetry contest for students, all centered on the theme of keeping the dream alive. This is what a day on looks like in practice.
Okay, let's step back for a second and connect all the dots. We have gone from a 15-year legislative war to modern political messaging to a bunch of volunteers cleaning up a local park. What's the one thing that connects it all?
The one thread that ties it all together is this incredibly powerful call to service. It's this idea that the absolute best way to honor Dr. King's legacy isn't just to remember what he said, but to actually act on it, right here in our own communities.
So how can you actually do this? How can you make it a day on? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You can think of it in 3 steps. First, just find an opportunity. Look around, see what your neighborhood needs. Second, give your time. It's as simple as that. Just show up and help out. And finally, take a moment to reflect on why you're doing it, to connect your small action back to that much, much bigger legacy.
Because in the end, it all boils down to this one powerful, timeless question from Dr. King himself. And notice, he's not asking what we are doing or what politicians are doing. It's a personal question. He's asking, what are you doing for others? And that's really what we want to leave you with. Beyond the history, beyond the headlines, the real meaning of this day comes down to a personal choice and a personal action. So the question isn't just about a holiday anymore. It's, how will you make it a day on?